Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm just going to be painting and telling you a little story about one of the rudest teachers that I've had. So first of all, I'm in 8th grade right now, and this took place in 5th grade, and I just decided I'd share it because it's a story. Also, sorry for starting the painting without you. I had to download a ton of apps and that type of stuff for editing purposes. That way it's better for you guys. But yeah, so this is a story of one of my teachers. And she was one of those teachers that, like, right from the get-go, you could either tell this was a teacher that you were either going to love, you could care less about, or you were absolutely going to hate. It wasn't like a story where it's like, I was in the fault here. Trust me, there's plenty of those. But, yeah, this is one of those times where it's the teacher's personality, I guess, or way of working things that I don't know. First of all, no harm to the teacher that I'm talking about. She was honestly a pretty good teacher for most of the year, and I kind of had like nothing bad or really anything good either to say about her until this moment. So we were at like pretty much the year was over. We were just doing like a final few things. We were finishing up like a project that we had been working on in this class for a long time, I would say. It took up a lot of time for this project, and we were at the end of the project. It was kind of a big project, and I had like 3 to 4 paragraphs, I guess you could say, left of the project to really finish it up. But it was due at the start of class tomorrow, so it's also not like it was due at the end of class. I could have taken it home and done some of it for homework. And what is important to know is I had a special ed class because I have dyslexia and some other things, and basically that class is important for me to go to because it helps me. And on Fridays we have a sub teacher. Like every Friday we have a sub teacher, and so it's the same sub though, pretty much. And my teacher, because I had this huge project that was due, was like, I will talk to your teacher and see if you can get out of your special ed class to go back and finish work, because I can do that sometimes. It's not like uncommon for them to talk and do that. I think I've done that one other time because I'm usually pretty good about trying to get it done like when I'm home, so usually that's not an issue because she knows that I'm gonna try my best to get it done at home, and I might like have one more thing to do. But today I guess was different for some reason. So I went to my special ed class, which is right after lunch, because that's what I usually did. I didn't like go check in with my teacher because I thought like once I got there, I asked, hey, has my teacher talked with you? And she's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. And that was it. That was kind of said. And then, sorry. And then I, do my class, and also it's the end of the year, well, close to the end of the year for that class too, so we're also doing our final report and that for that class. And so I'm doing everything, going along with my business, and I get back into class, and my teacher just has this look on her face like I just walked in after killing someone. Like, just absolutely, like, was complete. You could tell, like, once she saw that I was back, you could tell that she was, like, not happy with me. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. what did I do wrong or like that, because I didn't know what I had done wrong. And I had at this point forgot about like the fact that I was supposed to come in, because I just assumed that she never talked with the teacher. And so, and since my teacher that I had at the time, the sub, never told me to go back, and she never talked with that teacher, I just assumed it was gonna be fine. And that was going to be like the end of it. Oh boy, was I wrong. So, she continued, sorry, I'm gonna switch out brushes. She, went on about how I never came in. And I said, well, did you ever talk to the sub that was there? And she goes, well, the regular teacher was out today. I'm like, yes, like all the teachers are out. Well, my special ed teacher is always out on Friday. So, of course, she's going to be out. And my teacher that I had at the time knew that she was going to be out. This wasn't like, oh, she just got sick today. This was, she is never here on Fridays. I always have a sub. So she knew that it was going to be a sub. She did not talk to the teacher. And then when I came in, well, the sub, and so she never talked to the sub about me coming in and working on that one assignment, the big assignment. And I was never told to go there, so I didn't, because I honestly didn't know what to do. And that because no one told me to go there, so I wasn't going to be like, oh, well, I have to go here to the sub, because I also had big important assignments that I had to do in that class. It's like all of our classes were like that at this time. And so she says, well, you never came in for the work. And I'm like, well, yes, you never talked to the sub. And then she goes, well, you should have still come in. And I'm like, no one told me that I had to come in. Because the one time that I had done this before, the sub was like, oh, yeah, by the way, you're supposed to go here. And I'm like, okay, I will do that. Of course I'm going to do that. And so this all happened. I'm like, oh, okay. And so now it's time for like our recess. And she goes, you should have come in. You should have like known to do this. So you have to skip your recess or whatever you want to call it, your break, because you because you were supposed to come in and you did not come in. First of all, I could have finished it at home, which would have been a lot easier because I have resources at home that I can use that I can't in school. Not Google, but like voice to text. I could have used my voice to text on that back then because I had like a simple one for a couple of words. So it would have been much easier if I just did it for homework. It wasn't like a large amount of work, but I guess that it was more of a like punishment thing, I guess you could say, than a, oh, I really just want you to get this finished thing. Even though I wasn't there, so she's just acting like I was like the worst child ever, and I'm completely like taken aback because I'm like, well, you never talked to the person that was there that you know was going to be there. You knew that my teacher wasn't going to be there. And then she starts to say, I will never forget this. She starts to say, well, what you were doing in that class wasn't important at all anyways. Don't you just do review things on Friday and since your teacher's not in? First of all, no. Second of all, you know that we don't. And third of all, why are you acting like this is my fault when you're the one who didn't talk to my teacher? Well, the sub. You're the one like that should have taken the responsibility. I'm a 5th grader, you're an adult. And sorry, I got a little bit mad there. And so I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm done. I'm not gonna argue with her. And at this point, I was one of those children that, like, even if someone told me, stand up for yourself, I wouldn't. I was very, like, now I'm kind of, like, enraged about it all because I'm alone recording in my room. So no one's here to hear me and that type of thing. Well, except for you guys watching, but like, yeah. And so I continue to go on, and I finish my assignment, and at this point I've been yelled at, told what I was doing was not important, being told like all of these things. The assignment was way more stressful than it needed to be. And I'm like, whatever, okay, it's almost the end of the day, you have like 2 more hours. And after this class, we worked on a reading group thing, because so what it was like was certain kids got to go to science, and certain kids got to go to social studies, but then kids that needed help with reading don't get to go to social studies or science, which is absolutely ridiculous. And they made us like take a science test on what we were supposed to be learning, but since I was behind on my reading because dyslexic and I'm just like a little bit of a slower learner, I didn't get to go to those classes. So anyways, I'm doing this assignment as usual, and I get the opportunity, because they had iPads at the time. So I get the opportunity to go on an iPad for a little while this day. And they're all like learning games. They're all games like that are supposed to help with your reading. It's nothing like too fun, but they're still pretty fun games. And she's like, no, in fact, I think you're going to be in this group. And I'm like, okay, why not? And she's like, we're just going to go with it. And I'm like, okay. And at this time, I was thinking, okay, I'm in the wrong. And then now, looking back, I'm like, okay, but it was really the teacher's fault. She should have maybe taken just a bit more initiative or cared a bit more, in my opinion, than just to leave me like that. But I ended up getting through it, and looking back, if I was like half as strong as I am as far as like standing up for myself, I would have probably gone to the principal and like told her what the scenario was. But being that I was a little 5th grader who was very much a like, okay, I don't care kid, well, like, I actually cared too much. Like, I cared too much about what everyone thought. So I was one of those kids that I didn't want to get in trouble. I absolutely didn't want to get in trouble in that, and I thought that I would have gotten in trouble. So at this point, I'm exhausted because I haven't had any break, and I really need a break from reading. So I ask her if I can go to the bathroom. She says yes. I go to the bathroom. I take like a little bit longer than I usually do because I'm a little chaotic. I come back, you can still tell that she's really mad at me because, like, I think that she knew that I took a bit longer of a break in the bathroom, which I just needed to, like, calm myself down a bit. And so after all of this has happened, I go home. I never tell anyone. And honestly, it was me and one other kid in the room, so they were the only people that knew. And I just kind of let her, like, I guess you could say bully me, even though she was supposed to be the adult in the situation, because I didn't want to get in trouble and that. So also, if you are like me and you don't really like to speak up about anything or stand up for yourself, if you're one of the kids that would let someone bully you until you break down, then please, I urge you to go to an adult if something does happen like this, even if it is an adult, because sometimes even though the adults are supposed to be adults, sometimes they aren't. And in this situation, I think is one of those scenarios where if I was just a little bit more like headstrong, or well, if I was a little bit more not like withdrawn and like wanting to please everyone, I do think that that situation would have ended differently. And I remember putting myself down about it for like the rest of the year, which wasn't too long. It was like 2 weeks, and some of that wasn't even like learning. But, like, I just remember how, like, afterwards I thought that I was, like, this no good person, when now looking back I see, okay, it was the adult in the situation, not necessarily me, who should have been acting a little bit differently. And so, that is it of my story. I'm not completely done with my painting, but you probably saw what the finished piece, if you're watching this, what the finished piece looked like in the thumbnail, if you even care. And that is my story of how I my, like, falling out with, I guess you could call it, my 5th grade teacher. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Also, leave a like if you liked my story, or if you liked my art, so, yeah. Or if you want me to talk about more of these school scenarios, because, trust me, there's plenty more of them to come. So, goodbye, see you all hopefully next time.